Welcome to Sketch It, Teaching Drawing for New Art Educators. This session is designed for educators in the first 2 years of teaching, as well as pre-service and student teachers. Learning to draw is often a primary goal for young students. This session will discuss teaching methods using traditional and innovative drawing strategies, creative play, and drawing routines to get your students from the sketchbook to the gallery wall. Teachers will leave with a wide range of strategies to take back to their physical and digital classrooms. Materials for this session are pretty basic. Any drawing or note-taking supplies that you enjoy is what you should use. This session is not about teaching you to draw, it is about strategies that you can use to help your students learn to draw. Let me introduce myself. I am Lucy Bartholomew. I live in Arlington, Texas with my husband and 2 sons, although they are both in college now. I have been teaching since 1997, everything from 3rd graders through college. I now teach art education courses at the University of Texas in Arlington, and I supervise student teachers. I am also one of those teachers who take students on overseas trips. I've been leading these trips since 2003, literally opening up horizons for hundreds of students at this point. And this is a list of my past and future trips. It is inspiring as well as educational, and I think it's really fun. In fact, I have a new venture next year scheduled for summer, Creative Professional Development for Art Educators. I went through the process last year to become a TEA independent continuing education provider. Now I'm putting my educational travel experience together with leading workshops like this for an amazing experience to refresh our creative spirits. The pressure on educators has increased to an incredible degree. Teaching remotely or in school settings that are strained by the pandemic put unique stresses on educators. As artists, we are often highly sensitive to this emotional weight. As newer teachers, you may not have a lot of different teaching strategies to draw from. I hope this workshop will be a light to encourage you, to give you some new strategies to try, and the confidence to keep on trying until you find the tools that work for you. Over the last several years, I have been the university supervisor for almost 60 student teachers. I am also an experienced teacher and mentor other new teachers. I believe that it takes at least 2 years to find your groove and get a handle on the complex experience of teaching in normal circumstances. And this year is so far from normal. I hope you will realize that the unusual burdens we carry right now are not typical and will not go on indefinitely. So how do we teach drawing? Often university training focuses on the history, theory, and study of art education, discussing many important issues. We require art education majors to be studio art majors first, so you have had studio art instruction. Many art teachers have an MFA also and are highly skilled and experienced at making studio art. Teaching a basic skill like drawing to young students requires that we simplify and go back to the basics. I survey my students at the beginning of each year and ask them why they signed up for art. By far, the number one answer is, I want to learn to draw, or I want to learn to draw better. I do believe that anyone who can learn to write their name can learn to draw. They may not become a Da Vinci or Morisot, but they can learn competent drawing if they will just give a reasonable effort. Drawing is an enduring skill. Even in the age of fully digital animation, it all begins with drawings. You can connect students with careers in the arts, which is in the TEKS, through animation storyboards and making of video clips. There are numerous books, videos, and textbooks dedicated to drawing instruction. Your classroom probably has some. I will confess, when I first started teaching, that I rejected how to draw books like this. I had some idea of purity of the art form or only drawing from life, and it took me a little while to realize that many students actually benefited from the step-by-step instructions until they build up some hand coordination. I actually call it hand-eye pencil coordination. Then I started seeking out books with drawing instructions, and soon I got interested in antique drawing books. This one was printed in 1956 and includes lessons in drawing perspective. Take a look. The American Drawing Book goes all the way back to 1858. The perspective drawing lesson looks remarkably similar to exercises we still use to teach drawing. Our strategies for teaching drawing can be traced directly back to the Renaissance. And since the Renaissance is a rebirth of the ancient Greek and Roman classical styles, you can bet they had some perspective drawing techniques too. Vitruvian Man derives from a description by Vitruvius, a Roman architect who wrote about human proportion according to Greek standards. So that's 2,000 years old. I want to encourage you to use any strategies, old and new, to teach drawing. Soon you will come up with your own pattern of lessons that work well for your students. How did you learn to draw? There may be some strategies or activities that you remember that your students would enjoy too. When I was in elementary school, I was given the Ed Emberley drawing book. I drew every single one of the lessons. You see, I originally needed step-by-step instructions too. This book doesn't really teach form or shading, but it does break down each animal into a few geometric shape types. It was a starting point and it was fun. Scaffolding is a term in education to describe gradually building skills. Let me tell you about my experience in developing better scaffolding and teaching perspective drawing. My first year teaching high school art, I assigned an activity that I thought would take about 20 minutes, drawing their name in 3D letters that would go back towards a vanishing point. I had seen elementary kids do this, and I thought it would be a good warm-up before a more complex drawing. I gave a short demonstration and let them work while I took attendance. Immediately, they started asking for help. So many wanted help that I did a reteach and gave more details, but the kids still couldn't do it. A whole 80-minute class period went by and most of them were still struggling. We all needed a do-over. And clearly, I needed to reorganize my lesson. That evening, I made a model using a 4-letter word. Not that one, or that one. I used the word peace in 4 languages. Then I made a mini slideshow demonstrating how to do the horizon line, put 1 point on it, and then add 1 letter. We did this step by step together as a class. Then I let them do the rest of their name on their own, and I learned how to allow 2 class periods for this assignment. After giving them very basic skills, a foundation, then I could scaffold up from there. We did a simple 1-point perspective scene after that, almost as a diagram, very much like this example from the 1950s. So that's one of the things about drawing skills like this. The old strategies do work, even if they don't seem as exciting to me as a person who learned this decades ago. You can also use new strategies, video demos, and drawing apps. A student who does not want to do this with a ruler on paper may enjoy it with a drawing app on an iPad. Then we finally got to the classic city scene project with several buildings around a vanishing point. Some kids got it and were able to make complex scenes, while others were barely able to get the minimum done in a way that did not look like an earthquake had swept through the neighborhood. And that is great, because every kid improved their skills a great deal from where we started. Next, we did something completely different because the kids were maxed out on technical drawing. Whatever skills you are working on, from shading to portraits, scaffolding can help you set the kids up for success. Regular routines for drawing help build skills throughout the school year. Many art teachers, myself included, have a standard procedure for entering the class and beginning with a drawing prompt. My students begin each class with their sketchbook and an object from life or a printed example of drawing to practice. I now have collections of tiny dinosaurs, blocks, fake flowers, interesting stones, and little cars. I post the drawing goals, focus on texture, focus on shading, etc., every class, every day. I always encourage students to get sketchbooks at the beginning of the year when they are buying other school supplies. Like most things, the students in affluent neighborhoods bring in nice sketchbooks, while students in lower income areas bring very few supplies. I learned right away to make our own sketchbooks from copy paper, which I brazenly took from the copy room by the package. I don't make many copies, and I feel absolutely free to use that paper just as much as any other department. There are many good examples of handmade sketchbooks for classrooms, and that is not the goal of this workshop. I encourage you to search out examples if you have a need so that all students can have a sketchbook. One thing that is new in drawing instruction is access to digital storage. While I love the materiality of a great sketchbook, many of our students prefer a digital method. When a student eagerly takes a picture of their own artwork with their cell phone, I consider this a win. They are excited about what they made and they want to share it. This year, as the educational setting requires that we use Canvas, Google Classroom, and other online platforms, there are opportunities for students to digitally record and submit their artwork. This can become the beginning of a personal digital portfolio. Some families may be willing to invest in a digital drawing tablet, furthering the integration of technology with drawing skills. Drawing games can bring fun and excitement into it. Exquisite Corpse and Pictionary are well known. You can reverse these ideas for building robots or monsters by giving each student a note card and randomly assigning parts like head, leg, arm, foot, weapon, tail, etc. Students make their selection without seeing what others are working on, with a limitation of a few minutes. Then go to the board and assemble the creatures. In elementary school, you could set up a bulletin board seascape and invite each student to draw a sea creature to add to their ocean friends.
Visual note-taking combines written notes,
Text with visual design and metaphor. There is lots of research supporting what we already knew in the art department. Visual cues support memory, and design elements help us make connections with other ideas. Drawing a picture of a concept means we understand the concept well enough to reinterpret it, which is better than merely copying down what a lecturer said. Learning to do this is not hard, and building this skill over time will help both drawing and thinking. I do still believe in drawing from life, and taking kids out of their ordinary context for a drawing expedition to an empty cafeteria or courtyard is a great way to inject life into drawing practice. Your museum field trips can include a drawing break too. This image is from one of my student trips that included a day in Florence. I was quite surprised while eating lunch to see a group of children walk into the piazza. Their teacher told them to form a circle, then turn outward, then sit down. He told them to draw anything that they could see. Wow, I was so impressed. This has further inspired me to engage creatively wherever I am. Students who are gifted at drawing can often do a lot more than the average student. Challenge these students with open-ended prompts or have examples that are labeled easy, medium, and challenge. So that way, when they're in the mood, they can really go for it. Train them in independent research that's age appropriate, that can help them learn more about artists or track down more details about things they want to draw. And sometimes saving advanced, read expensive media for those special students is a good idea. It reminds them that they are special, and it gives them access to things that will help make their artwork look even better. Providing enhancements for these students is important, both in the interest of challenging all students and because they can provide fabulous work for contests and art shows. These are also your future IB, AP, and advanced art students. As new teachers, I want to give you one more word of encouragement. I have a little theory. It seems like there's a vortex between schools with big problems that have high teacher turnover and new teachers who feel pressure to take any job after graduation and end up in these dysfunctional schools. As new teachers, you may not realize that there are better teaching experiences at better managed schools. So if you find yourself in a negative situation at a school, please look around and try another school. Look around for schools that have low turnover of faculty, because these tend to be better run schools. Quietly ask your teaching friends their opinion of better schools or districts. Use your online networks to find out where other teachers are happier. Leadership matters, and finding good, caring school leaders makes an enormous difference in your daily teaching experience. And remember, teaching this year is not typical. There are exciting art teaching experiences for you ahead. Those moments when a student is excited to make art, is thrilled by what you help them create, and those aha moments when learning leaps occur. You are a great encouragement to your students. They need your insights, your care, and your support. You matter to them, and you matter to me as a colleague and a creative person. I hope these ideas will help you with teaching drawing and encourage you in your role as artist educator. Please feel free to contact me to share your thoughts, ideas, and questions, and have a wonderful conference.